everybody, we got a full crew tonight doing a midnight review presented by Glasshouse Films, and the movie we're watching tonight is the hotly anticipated Blade Runner 2049.
And we're actually seeing it somewhat close to midnight.
Yeah, too close to midnight for my taste. I used to actually see these at midnight and it would wreck me the next day. And now it's just gonna wreck you the next day. I appreciate it, I love you. So, yeah, sequel to a nowadays very well-regarded science fiction film. And if you don't know what Blade Runner is about, it's about a dude who hunts machine people.
Easiest way to explain
Close enough, yeah.
Close enough. And so, yeah, and so they're making a sequel to that. And this actually works for me for a couple of reasons. First, the first movie, it is a good movie. But my lord, is it flawed. It is very slow. It is very much in love with its own sets, and that can slow the movie down. It's like, oh, that's a really cool shot of this fan that's 20 feet in diameter. Okay, now we've cut.
I mean, as someone who saw the film the first one, not even a week ago for the first time, I was like, okay, like Blade Runner, really good movie. I can see why everyone really likes it, but oh my gosh, it is so that's like the biggest thing I'm hoping.
And I think the movie kind of suffers from it, but there's like 8 or 9 different cuts of the movie. And they're really polarizing. Like, a lot of people really like the ending of the director's cut, and I think the ending of the director's cut is really good because it kind of just, pretty much puts the nail in the coffin on the whole Deckard being a replicant. But it cut out all the noir narratives. There's 15
and the thing is if you take those out, there's a lot of dead air in the movie. Yeah,
and it's kind of like, the movie's it's not even 2 hours long.
And it feels like 3.
And it feels like 3. It's like
so the other reason why I think that a sequel could actually work is because this is a really cool world. And I think that I would love to spend some more time in it. And I do honestly believe that Denis Villeneuve is a better director than Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this? What do you want out of it? Do you want a sequel, or do you want another story in that universe?
That's a really good question.
I prefer another story in that universe, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, my thing is I just want an answer to, is Deckard a replicant? And then I want just its own story.
See, okay.
Because I think it takes place far enough that you you can kind of deal with some fallout of the first story without having to do too many throwbacks. Because it doesn't really, you don't really need a sequel to Blade Runner. But if you do it right, you can totally capitalize on one without calling back too far, because the world it built was pretty sweet.
Here's another big reason why I'm excited that it's this director doing this, is because he can make really great mainstream films without watering them down. They're never dumbed down. So they will, I do think they will have to answer the question about, is Deckard a replicant? I do think they'll have to answer that, but I don't feel that the film will have to water its own questions and answers down. I mean, this is the guy who last year put out Arrival. And that's easily one of the best science fiction movies to come out in cinemas in a very, very long time. But all of his films have very complicated questions and answers, like Prisoners, Enemy, Sicario. I feel like I just named all of his movies.
and his movie's got 3 hours to answer it.
Yeah. It's got a while, but we're gonna see it in IMAX.
Woo!
Which, cool.
Yeah.
It's like the second movie this year that I'll see in IMAX.
It seems like a good one to see in IMAX.
No, the last movie we saw in IMAX was awesome. It was the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, that's right. Never
Oh, shit, this will be the 3rd movie I've seen in IMAX. Yeah, hopefully it is better than the last one we saw.
Yeah.
Dunkirk. All right, let's go watch this movie now.
All right.
Whee!
You're a cop. I did your job once. I was good at it.
Through the magic of editing, we are back. Sorry, the camera bugged out for a second there. 2017 has been a bounty of riches in the cinematic world. Yeah, that's how I'm going to start this review. What did you think?
I really liked it. It is a very long movie. It's a very long movie, so it was a little hard to get through. Maybe it's because we saw it like 11 o'clock at night or something. But I still I really, really liked it. The cinematography is amazing. There's like some really, 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 really like super pretty shots. I think Ryan Gosling does an amazing job. I think like he's really suited for like dramatic roles.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh man, I really liked it. I liked the cinematography. Had some really awesome shots. I liked the sound. It was really loud, but I still liked it.
To be fair, we did see it in IMAX, which I think contributed to the loudness. But we can circle back to that in a second.
I thought the story was pretty good. In my opinion, I thought all the best parts of the story were in like the first 2/3 of the movie. That's just me though. But I almost feel like I can't get into it without getting into spoiler territory.
So what this film is about is okay.
I think you can't even get into the intro without hitting spoiler territory.
I can do it. If you want to go in absolutely blind, know that we all loved it. Okay. This film is about K. His full name is KD. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
K. Played by Ryan Gosling. He is a replicant who was essentially designed to hunt down other replicants. He stumbles upon what could be a very, very explosive development with replicants, and comes to be given a few choices as to how to proceed. And in that way, I think what is very unique about this film compared to a lot of other films lately, and when compared to film trends that have been going through recently, he's in full control of his choices, of his destiny. The plot and the story do not tell him what he needs to do. The screenplay isn't saying, okay, you accomplished A, now go to B, okay, now go to C. He is driving this film entirely. Now, it is driven by this mystery, but it is Ryan Gosling's, K's desire to get to the heart of this that drives it forward, especially after a few particular choices that he is given, and he makes his choice. And in that, I feel like this movie has bridged a gap that has existed for one of those trends that have existed for a little while, where there's story and then there's moments. And this film it's like, nope, we brought them together. This movie has amazing moments. I mean, I could list off a dozen right now.
That being said, though, I like the moments more than the story.
And that's fair. That is entirely fair.
Because the story, spoiler alert, gets kind of into the replicant rebellion territory, and I'm really over those kinds of stories where they're,
and that's,
we're not slaves, it's time to rebel, and that's why the kind of like third act of the movie was kind of, and I was like, it's still good because it's still being shot really well. Everything about it is still being like.
And now we're gonna get murdered in the car.
Yeah, I know. Lights just went out. It was still told really well, but it wasn't anything new. Whereas I thought like I don't even want to call it the subplot, because it was a really big part of the plot for me, with like him and like his AI. Seemed like really.
Oh my god, that was.
Really, like, that was like probably my favorite part of the movie, because you have kind of the first Blade Runner, which kind of explores Deckard's relationship with a replicant, and now we're going to the next step where it's exploring a relationship with like a replicant and an AI, because as a replicant he feels like he's not actually able to have like a real relationship, so he kind of like resigns himself to being in a relationship with an AI. And like how that pans out, how it pans out is like happy, and then like there's the one scene where he's kind of looking at that hologram, and to me it got like really sad because they kind of imply that like, yeah, you know, he has this relationship with his AI, but it's really just programmed to love everybody.
Does the AI have the relationship?
Yeah,
with
like,
him?
And that was crazy, and that was like actually a pretty huge part of the movie. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's that's something that is also to be appreciated about this movie, is that every aspect of it is in service to itself. It isn't like, oh, here's the romantic subplot for the women.
Yeah, there's actually like a greater
like
point to it. And it's like, you can almost kind of think like without his whole relationship with his AI, he just like wouldn't have even given so much a shit about Deckard and like, you know, like that whole plot, you know.
I don't normally say this, but the romantic plot was necessary in the movie. I'm not a fan of romantic things, but I actually really liked how that worked and how that played out.
I feel like the culmination of that relationship is one of the most impressive things I have ever seen in a film.
Yeah.
That's not hyperbole, I feel like.
There were some crazy shots.
I mean,
in general with the AI.
I mean, like, Roger Deakins is like, oh, you think you've seen the best of what I have to offer? All right, check this out. And I feel like he has once again outdone himself.
Yeah, that was crazy. That like.
So
scenes with AI. I don't even know where to begin. Like what I liked about the movie. It's so crazy. Like,
as we've gone over before, we can check this box. Shot beautifully, absolutely gorgeous. The CG that was used very well, and then I also love how much of the special effects were done in camera, like when you're flying through the cities.
Yeah.
Oh my
god! Even just the opening shot where they're flying over like the protein farms. I was like, oh yeah.
There were also
I was like, give me 3 hours of this.
Yeah. There were also certain scenes where they were like in the city at night, and just how it was shot, it almost looked kind of like an anime-ish, if you kind of know what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, there's something funny about that, because, you know, Blade Runner influenced things like Ghost in the Shell. And then it's like, okay, yeah, and Ghost in the Shell iterated on that, and then this iterated upon that.
But I mean, the first Blade Runner, like, there are some really gorgeous shots and the color's amazing, but this like turns that knob up all the way up to 100.
So one of the things that even in this review we had praised Blade Runner for is the sets, and this film is like, I almost feel like the set design and the director, the set designer and the director was like, all right, no, we can do it better, and they did it better.
It was like so there was so much exposition that they like didn't need to go over, because they just like, you could tell like what kind of state like all the people in the cities and how they lived, and like where they got their food and all their energy and crap. Like you got all that just from the language. Oh, here's a shot of like us flying over the city, and like you can totally see how like everybody lives.
Or the instant that I knew that I'm like, oh, these guys are even better at this, was funny enough near the very start when Kay gets out of his car and you see like how grimy and dusty it is, and I'm just like, oh, detail. And I'm like, what? Perfect. Okay. Yeah, a lot to praise, but we got to compartmentalize this shit. Oh my god, the soundtrack to this film. Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna bring it back to a movie that we had talked about months ago at this point. Dunkirk. We saw Dunkirk in the same cinema we saw this in. So IMAX. All things being equal, Dunkirk and the people who put that together don't know their ass from a hole in the fucking ground. This film is like, we're gonna bombast you with this sound and music, but we know exactly how to put each bar, each note. This is masterfully put together. And I take back what I said about Dunkirk and Hans Zimmer, this best work he's done. This is the best work he's done in years.
That was the nice thing about watching it
shit.
in IMAX, is because of all, like, you know, the surround sound, like, I felt really involved in the movie. Like, there were little things like when there's like a character that's talking and it's over on the side and then it kind of just turns and moves around you. So good.
Just like anytime they're driving around and like the city,
Oh god.
and it's just like really loud, but at the same time, and you're like, oh, that's kind of grating, but at the same time, you're like, you know, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Or just like sometimes when like somewhere like a character's walking and you like hear those footsteps just like so precise. So good.
Okay.
I thought this is a weird one. I thought the gunshots sounded.
Oh, I love the sound of the gunshots.
But like the sounds of the guns, it was like they sounded not like guns we have today, but still very much like a ballistic kind of gun. And I was like, that's not the sound guns make.
It goes
but
back
that
to
sounds like what guns in the future could sound like.
Yeah, it goes back to expert Foley work. And like, we want to create something unique, and they did
it was really
that.
crazy.
With something like guns.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could just get away with using normal stock portfolio of gunshots, but they're like, no, we're gonna do this right.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, yeah.
So CGI, shot wise, the soundtrack, the acting. Okay. Before we get too far into this, Jared Leto can suck cocks in hell. However, he actually did a pretty fucking fantastic job in this movie.
It made me feel real creeped out and gross, and I think that was the point.
Yeah, I liked his acting more than Harrison Ford's acting in this movie. Because I feel like at this point, Harrison Ford's just playing Harrison Ford.
Tired Harrison Ford.
Like,
and that's what the role called for.
He doesn't have... I mean, I've only ever seen one trailer, and even then he wasn't in the trailer all the time. It was like the very first trailer for this movie. But he's not in the movie a ton. I mean, you definitely go like the first 2 hours probably without any... without any Deckard. And then when he kind of shows up, it's like, I feel like I'm kind of getting tired of Harrison Ford again. And like, I thought Jared Leto's scenes, which there's also he's not a ton of, because
this is Ryan Gosling's movie.
It's very much like Ryan Gosling's movie. But,
and this is just one of those, it's just one of those reaffirmations that Ryan Gosling's one of this generation's greatest actors.
So good.
And everyone I feel like just kind of sleeps on him. It's like, no.
He's good, you guys.
This dude's one of the best.
This is good.
Also, all of like the female actresses, because there's a ton of really good female actresses.
Robin Wright, just like, what?
Oh boy. Lord, take me now. She's just
Mackenzie Davis with her relatively small role, but like when she had that scene, that couldn't have been easy. Holy shit, that had to be difficult, and she nailed it.
Yeah, no, like.
And then I couldn't remember the other lady's name, but the AI lady, just like, oh my god, wow.
Like they all the women in this film do such an amazing job, because there's more like. If you talk about, I guess, like the main characters or a lot of those bigger characters, there's actually more women than there are men, which is kind of cool in my book. But
but Ryan Gosling through and through, like his minimalist style with acting, like, okay, that I know that sounds like bullshit in that it's like, oh, his acting styles to not act very hard, but it's like very few people can pull it off, and he pulls it off. He showed the fuck up to work for this movie.
Like, woo.
I mean, so at the end of the day, I wanted a good film. And I was thinking that, you know, we could very easily have something that's better than the original Blade Runner. Instead, I was given my new favorite film of 2017.
It was so good, like way better than the original Blade Runner, way better. I also feel like this movie like go see it in the movie theater. If
Yes.
you want to pay for IMAX, definitely do. Like, it helps
Yeah.
just to have that screen
IMAX,
and to have
the
the sound.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's so worth the
worth.
money.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna go watch it again because
I'm gonna see it again
was
this
good.
weekend.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week some other movies come out. I don't care.
No, it doesn't even matter right now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be stewing. I'm gonna be having like a crisis.
Yeah.
Like,
Am I real?
am I real?
What is real?
I will say that the one thing, right when the movie ended, you know, spoiler, 2, 3, 4, didn't get my goddamn question answered. But
the question being who drew the goddamn
who drew the
dicks?
dicks? Yeah, no, just the whole, you know, if you've seen the first Blade Runner,
You know.
it's
So-
still.
Okay, so next week a movie comes out and we'll review it and everything.
Yeah, we gotta figure out what it is.
Mystery. It's a mystery I don't care
Medea's Halloween.
about. Might as well be. So, yeah. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment below if you've seen the movie and want to talk about how great it was. Anyway, youtube.com/glassfilmshouse, facebook.com/glasshousefilms, and Twitter @glasshousefilms. Thanks y'all for watching, and we'll see you next week for whatever that movie is.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.